All right, guys. Well, to get started here, obviously, we made some moves last night, so those are out there. We just wrapped up our last day here of camp with a very light 10-10-10 practice, very controlled, and being able to go through that was good for us. I thought overall, being the first time we've gone through this schedule, the guys did a really good job of adapting to the new schedule, which is certainly different and mentally can tax you, but they did really well with that along with the coaches. So I appreciated that. Well, one other side note here too, wrapping up training camp, I wanted to let everybody here know we have we're really excited to be able to say that Coach Henry Burris who is with us as a Bill Walsh coaching internship, the minority coaching internship. We're going to keep him on staff seasonally. So he's done a really great job with us, has an amazing personality with the players, with coaches. We love his background of where he's been and his knowledge. It's a really cool story. So we're fired up about having him be on with us this season. And I think it's going to help everybody out. So with that, I'll open it up to y'all.
First question, Jeff Dickerson.
Because Foles has had so much success in his career, coming off the bench and kind of filling in when need be, does that in any way work as a negative against him when you try to figure out who's going to be your number one quarterback to start the year?
No, Jeff, it doesn't. What we try to do is start with a clean slate. Now, you take into consideration with both of these guys, just their experiences that they've had as a player in this league. That certainly has to play part of it, because again, that's when everything is certainly real. But at the same time, we do look at those type of scenarios too, and then we balance that as how much weight do we put into those different situations. So that could be a part of it as well.
JJ.
Hey, Matt. Was it good to see 96 out there and get his energy back a little bit today?
Yeah, it was. Again, it was a very, I don't know if you guys could tell or not, but it was a very light practice. But anytime you see 96 out there, that's a good thing. So we like that, and we know opposing offenses don't. So we want to make sure that we have him out there. So it was good.
Jason Leisure.
Matt, can you give us the clearest possible description of the criteria that you're using to choose a starting quarterback?
Well, there's a lot to keep it clear. And I told everybody yesterday that I think that both of these quarterbacks have done a good job at making it difficult. So the clearest way to say it is that for us, that we just need to be able to, again, go back and watch the tape to remind ourselves of the stuff that we thought we saw. And again, you always start with decision-making and accuracy. And then there's, in our opinion too, there's situational football involved. So those are probably the top three that we look at. And then how did they perform in training camp? How did they handle certain situations? And again, both of them we thought did well. So I know it probably is frustrating in hearing things sound somewhat gray. I completely understand that. But for us, it's not easy. So we need to go back and have more conversations amongst ourselves. Forget with Nick and Mitch. We need to have real conversations amongst ourselves. But we also know too, Jason, that time is of the essence. And the longer that things string out, the harder it is for these quarterbacks, the harder it is for our team. And I think that has carried some heavy weight as well. So we're looking at it from all angles, and we want to make sure that we make the right decision at the right time.
Colleen Kane.
Hey, Matt, when you do pick a starting quarterback, how do you plan to address it with the team? And, you've talked about everyone having their own opinions on it. Do you worry about any pushback from players either now or down the road if you don't pick who they expected or wanted?
I don't. And I know just like a lot of things in this life, we all have our own opinions and we all express it in different ways. And I understand that you're 100% not going to satisfy everybody. That's not going to happen. But that's why they go ahead and they put me in a role to make decisions And myself, I put others in roles to help me make decisions. So it's the same thing. It's about trust. And then the conversations that go on with the players involved in a decision, and then the team when they find out. To me, the first people that need to find out are the quarterbacks, and that'll be a discussion that I have with them. And they're going to always get me shooting straight from the hip. And when we do that, or when I do that, then we'll go ahead with the next chain of command on how we do that. And I just know that the team believes in both of these guys. And so whoever it is, I'm not concerned at all about that from the team aspect.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Matt, you've said on a few occasions that even you have to wait until the opener to know exactly what you've got. And I'm just curious, after this, very different and somewhat awkward off season, what's your most honest assessment of where you are and how comfortable you feel about your team heading into week one, especially relative to year one and year two?
Sure. I think I tend to be an optimistic guy, and it's been that way the last 2 years. And for, first 2 years now, we've gone 0-1 to start the season, and it takes time to figure out. That first year, we had no idea going into it what we were going to be like. So there's a lot of unknowns. Last year, there was more knowns, and we were frustrated offensively that we didn't put up more points to help the defense and to help the team win. Now that we've had 2 years together for us to all learn our personalities and to kind of know where we're at schematically in 3 phases, there's more confidence, there's more expectations, but there's got to be patience as well, because it is a long season. So at the same time, I stay optimistic. We're excited. We're 10 days away. It's just, we feel like it's time in a lot of different ways. We have other competitions that are going on this team. We have a lot of players that are ready to just go out there and now put all that to the side and become one. And it's here.
Pat Finley.
Matt, do you think you'll tell the team Sunday? Is that the plan right now? I know you mentioned to us yesterday that you guys were going to gather together. Would you want to know who the starter is by that practice?
Well, it would be, there's a couple thoughts on that. We could, and I think that's still like when I leave this discussion right here, we're going to get up here at 12 o'clock. We have a personnel meeting that we're going to go through. It's going to start right there. And there's going to be there's always some interesting conversations in there with our coaches and our personnel staff with Ryan and his guys. We'll start there, and then we'll get together as offense and defensive staff, and we'll have our own discussions there. And then we'll break up from that and go individual. And then that's when we'll start having those discussions. And when we do, we will lean on each other to decide when is the best time. And like I said, there's one part of it to where you could say, well, there's gamesmanship and it hurts Detroit to not know who it is. There's another side where you just say, you know what, it's hurting yourself if you do that. And you need to be able to make a decision to help both of these quarterbacks, and not to mention to help us as a staff as well. So we're taking all that into consideration. We want to do it the right way. And it's out of respect to focusing more on our team than our opponent.
Do you lean more toward the figure it out for yourselves than the gamesmanship side right now? Or
yeah, I think so. I think so, Pat. To tell you the truth, I would say yes. If that's the question being asked, we lean more towards that and care more about that. But we'll have to wait and see.
A few more for Coach. Dan Wiederer.
Matt, 2 questions for you. First of all, could you specify a little bit more about what Coach Burris will be doing for you during the season? And then as it relates to Nick, what's been the challenge for you in sort of projecting his readiness, where normally after 4 weeks of practice with a guy, it would be June, and here after 4 weeks of practice with a guy, it's week 1?
Yeah. So the first question, with Henry, he has a lot of good ideas. He's able to look at it from a quarterback's perspective, which is where I think will be a great fit for him to help out as well. And just like he can bounce around and be in different rooms and give us, an opinion as to where he's at. We have a lot of respect for who he is and his experience in football in general. So we'll bounce him around, but we can put him on different projects and have him maybe look ahead and help us out with future teams. Maybe it's a certain self-scout study that we could use him. It just really helps him out being in the building each and every day, building relationships, which he's done a phenomenal job with. And it's a growing opportunity. I told him that's exactly how I got started. I did an internship for 2 years, and then Coach Reed called me up and gave me a lower level entry job, and that's how I got my foot in the door. So he knows what's ahead of him, and I have nothing but high expectations for him. In regards to Nick, Nick and myself, we've never had a game together where I'm calling plays. So there's that unknown, right? When he was in Kansas City and Alex got hurt, he came in and Coach Reed was calling plays. There was a couple games that we played that was the case. I was always either a quality control coach or a quarterback coach with him. So actually, I was the coordinator in 16 and a QB coach. So there's a little bit of that unknown. And so you have to build some trust. And I'd say with Mitch, I have 2 years of calling plays with him, and you have that, and we build our own likes and dislikes together. With Nick, you haven't necessarily gone through that. And I know that he's gone through it and built some great relationships over his career with certain coaches. And I think he uses that to help form his relationship with his, next play caller, which could be me. You just got to, that's what you play out.
Last one for Coach Brad Biggs.
Hey, Coach, a lot of times vets use this weekend to get away right before the start of the season. Did you have a message for your guys today? And can you sort of detail as best you can for us your schedule starting out for next week?
Sure. Yeah. So I said one word to him when we wrapped up our huddle here today at the end, and the word was selfless. That's all I said. And it wasn't to the players. I tried to make that loud and clear. We have coaches that will have off as well. Give them a little breather from everywhere where they're at so they come back fresh. But we're in our own little bubble here at Hallis Hall. We've worked extremely hard to get to this point to where we are health-wise with the COVID. And so now when you leave this bubble and you go just outside of it, it's easy to have distractions. It's easy to go to places that you normally would go to in a normal life, a normal situation, and things aren't normal now. So until they tell us they are, we need to be selfless. And it's not, towards yourself, it's towards others when you come back into this building. So, and then not to mention too, we all have tests that we got to take every morning. So the ones that think they're normally going to fly home for a couple of days and come back, that's not happening. So that was really the biggest thing. In regards to the schedule, we'll be back out for a 10-10-10 practice on Sunday. The players will have off Monday like a normal regular season, and then they'll be back in here on Tuesday for some meetings and lifts, and then we're rocking and rolling like a normal schedule Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Y'all take care.
Next up, we'll have Iggy. Hey, Joel, you got me? You got me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. We'll get started. First question, Pat Finley.
Hey, Iggy, what do you think Ford Field will feel like without a crowd, and in what ways might that affect your defense?
I think it's going to be, different, obviously, but we've been doing that for 3 weeks now. So we've been having full speed, full padded practices with nobody around. And so we're ready for it, right? We've been doing that, and we're ready to go.
Brad Biggs.
Iggy, do you feel like if you're called on this year to play some defense, which obviously KPL and Quit got to do a little bit last season, that you're kind of ready for your opportunity if the need arises?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um,
What gives you confidence?
I mean, the work that I put in, this training camp, OTAs, even though it was virtual, I thought I did a good job of that. So I'm definitely ready. I've been waiting for this.
Nathan Smith.
How do you feel you're different than the player who entered the league just a couple of years ago?
Oh, well, one, just more comfortable. You know, the more you're in the league, the slower the game gets. And so year 3 for me, honestly, the game is the slowest it's ever been in my career, you know, high school, college. I feel like I'm really hitting my stride now as far as football IQ, as far as all that stuff. And so I definitely say I'm a different player. I definitely took this off season to study, to look at my game all around and just work on my overall game, work on the areas that I need to improve on. So I'm really excited, man. I know I seem chill right now, but once that shot comes, I'm gonna be ready.
Colleen Kane.
Iggy, when you look at this defense as a whole, what excites you about what you guys can do this season?
I mean, not much has changed. We added Robert and, we drafted some guys and stuff like that. But defense is loaded, man. We got players all around, every position, deep. So it's the same goal, man. We're trying to lead the league and all the defensive stats. We're trying to set the tone, you know what I mean, and really be the monsters of the Midway.
JJ Stankovitz.
Iggy, what have your conversations been like with teammates, and just what has the atmosphere been around the building involving talking about Black Lives Matter and what kind of actions and change you guys can do with your platform as a football team?
Yeah, we've had great conversations, and it continues. You know, it's not going to stop. We've been brainstorming ideas as far as reaching out to schools, reaching out to politicians, reaching out to everybody just to spread the awareness. Obviously, voting is number one, right? The election's coming up real soon. So that's really been the message, just using our platform, whether it's social media, whether it's, media, whatever, interviews and stuff like that. Just doing that, it's important. So we're going to stay on top of it, make sure we get that message across.
Did you happen to see the statements by the Ravens and the Texans laying out their specific demands? And if you did, what did you think of those?
I didn't see that. I think I heard of it, but I didn't read the details of it. But I think that's great. You know, that's definitely a way to get the message across.
Hub Arkush.
Joel, if my memory is not escaping me, coming out of school, I think you had talked about considering a post-football career in medicine of some kind or healthcare. Again, if I'm not nuts, from that perspective, what's your overall view of the public health crisis, not just the way we're handling as a team, but the way we're handling as a country and what the future might look like?
Yeah, I think with COVID, a lot of people aren't taking it serious, and it's a shame that that's what it is. But yeah, there's not much you can do when people aren't listening. But the people that do listen, it's our job to just relay that message. Wear your mask. Don't be throwing parties. Don't be doing stuff like that, and just listen to what the pros say. That's what it comes down to.
Do you try and voice that as much as you can to your teammates, or do you leave it to each individual?
Oh yeah, no, I think our team does a great job of that. No one's out here doing anything reckless, but the general public, there's only so much you can do. If someone wants to listen, they'll listen. If they don't, well, that's it.
Couple more here for Iggy. Pat Finley.
Iggy, what have your conversations with your dad been about? Isn't he a public health guy at San Marcos? And he must know a lot about the dangers of gathering large people together, including maybe in your own facility.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you do it right, you know, he knows that it's different. Obviously, we're testing every day. We're doing all the right things, and we've done a great job in these last 3-4 weeks with that, you know. But for the general public, again, you know, they just relaying that message of you can have small gatherings, right? You can have a little party, whatever, but make sure it's with close people you know. Don't be throwing big parties and being reckless and that stuff. It's the same message.
Last one, Nathan Smith.
So you talked about some of the things that you were studying to get better for this year, and we've heard other players talk about the coaching staff giving them like 3 things to work on. So what were the specific areas that you felt like your game had to improve?
I would say in the run game. That was number one. The other two, I'd say not play, but route recognition. So passes as far as passing game goes. And then those are the main two, honestly. I feel like as far as athletic ability, you know, and things like that, I've been blessed. But just that football IQ, man, you know, just getting the playbook, knowing what's coming from the offense, understanding formation, tendencies, and things like that. You know, that's what I was trying to get.
Awesome. Thanks, Iggy. Appreciate the time talking.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
An update for you guys, media-wise, the additional player that we listed is going to be Akeem Hicks, and that will be around 12:20. And then we're still waiting on Jenkins and Massey here. But Hicks will be the last to go around 12:20. We'll have John Jenkins here coming in a couple minutes. John Jenkins in a couple minutes. Thank you. Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, media, we got John Jenkins here. So if you want to start coming back and start raising your hands, we can get going.
This is neat.
All right, first question. Go ahead, Pat Finley.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm good. Let me turn my video on here. When you reported to camp and were put on the COVID list, what was that experience like? And walk us through. It sounds scary to me.
I mean, it was scary, you know, all the stuff you hear, what's going on in the news in today's world. So, I mean, I don't take that, you know, as a joke. I take it very serious. And when I was reported on the COVID list, it was a lot of thoughts going through my mind, you know, but at the end of the day, I knew we had everything I needed for me to come back with a speedy recovery. So I wasn't too worried.
Did you feel sick? Did you feel any different?
No, I didn't feel anything at all. You know, yeah, I didn't have any symptoms by any means, but you know, from what I understand, that you don't need to experience symptoms to test positive.
Hub Arkush.
John, when you decided to rejoin the Bears, you didn't know that Eddie was going to opt out. And so I'm guessing that after you made the choice, you realized there was additional opportunity there. And I wonder what impact that has had now as you've gone through training camp, knowing that there's obviously more reps for a guy who's going to play inside.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't know Eddie was going to opt out. I didn't know anything about that. But, you know, opportunity for them to even call me back, obviously, I felt that it was an opportunity that was in hand for me to, you know, to take advantage of. So just having the reps and being able to be with the guys that I left before, you know, and to come back in the same room and be embraced with open arms, it's good, you know, good energy, positive energy.
JJ?
Hey, John, just to be clear, and you know, by all means, you don't need to answer this, but did you test positive for COVID?
Oh, no.
No, you did not. Okay. Follow up, unrelated. When you talk about rejoining the Bears, what impact did reuniting with Jay Rodgers have with you, and what kind of impact does he have on you as a coach?
Man, I respect Jay. I respect Jay as a good coach. He's a very great coach, man. Actually, I tried my best to keep in touch and try to reach out to him, try to get some of the techniques that he was teaching me while I was here my last time. And now being back with Jay, man, it was a blessing in disguise. Well, actually not a disguise, a blessing all in one, because Jay actually took time to actually coach me and saw that I can get better. You know, some coaches, when you're an older vet, they don't like to spend their time with you as much because they figure either you know it now or you don't know it, you know, and Jay is not like that. And that's one thing I love about Jay, that he's still willing to coach me as if I'm a rookie. And as long as he's still willing to do that, I'm still going to keep taking his coaching.
Mark Potash?
Jay Rodgers gets a lot of credit, John, for a lot of players. I mean, for a position coach, an unusual amount of credit. What can you give an example of what he teaches, how he makes a difference? What has he taught you that you didn't know before you played under him?
One thing about Jay is weird. He taught me how to be confident within myself. You know, I have this stigma in the league that I'm just a bull rusher and I'm just a first and second down. But Jay actually spent time with me to try to develop me and put me in past situations, and he believes in me. And so when you got a coach that believes in you as a coach to a player, then that makes a player evolve, you know, and helps a player to go beyond what he thought he was. And Jay actually has that. He teaches me straight fundamentals. He teaches me everything, how to use my hands. He actually teaches me technique, formations, and what I should do in this scheme, or if I see this. And he has the patience as well. Jay has extreme patience for his guys.
Thank you.
Hub?
John, this defense been one of the best in the league over the last 2 years. Took a little bit of a step back last year, but coming in, people were calling it generational. And you can see the swagger that you guys play with, even in these non-contact practices. How does that reputation impact your preparation as a defense? What do you guys talk about, and how do you motivate yourselves to try and live up to that?
Honestly, I don't think we really worry about the outside noise, you know. By you saying that's a good thing, obviously, but I think we're ourselves, you know. We enjoy one another. So when you enjoy being with your guys and you let your personality show, I mean, it has no choice but to be shown as swagger,
as our own identity. So I mean, what people are saying we're this swagger, we're this, we're that. I mean, that's good, right? But overall, we just go out there and be ourselves.
Couple more here for John. Jason Leisure.
Hey, John, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused by what you were saying about being on the COVID list because you were talking about being asymptomatic. It sounded like at first, but then you said on a yes or no question, you did not test positive. So I'm understanding correct. You did not test positive. Were you on there because you were exposed to someone else or had it in your family?
No. I guess it was a false positive. So that's what it was. So I tested positive. The test came back positive, and then I took another one, and then it came back, and then I took several tests afterwards, and it came back false. So that's the situation.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Last question for John. Pat Finley.
John, how is Akeem different this time around than last time when you guys were together?
I mean, can you elaborate that? Keem is the same Keem I know since New Orleans, man. He just, this my guy. He's been the same, man. Full of energy, powerful guy, a force to be reckoned with on the field, you know, and a big. I look at him as that Blue from Monster Inc. You know. So, I don't know how he's different. He's good to me.
How is he like Blue?
Because you know, Blue was the scariest monster, but when he got around the little girl, he just so a sweetheart. So that's how he is off the field. But when he on the field, he's a monster.
Awesome. Appreciate you taking the time, John.
No problem. Appreciate y'all.
Next up will be Akeem Hicks. We'll have Hicks here in about 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes on Hicks. Thank you. Akeem, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Media will get going here. First question, Pat Finley.
Hey, Kim, how are you?
Great.
Good, good. What have the last 2 weeks been like for you? What are your thoughts on being ready in time for September 13th? And how do you feel?
It's preparing for football, man. This time of year and this situation that we've been in, it's been taxing on everyone, right? And the biggest battle is making sure that you remember what you're focused on or what you're pushing towards, and that's coming out week one and playing good football.
Dan Wiederer.
Akeem, when we talked to you in June, you had expressed some curiosity, some concern about how football and the coronavirus were going to coexist. Now that you've been in training camp for 5 or 6 weeks, why do you think that this thing has worked to this point, and how do you think you keep it on track from now until February?
We've been really cautious here and making sure that we stay in our, what we've created as our bubble and being responsible outside of our bubble, you know what I mean? Because eventually you go home at night and just making good choices. And so I think that has been one of the things that's kept us in a good place as a team is that guys are taking it seriously. Guys are masking up. Guys are making sure that they take every precaution that they can, as far as keeping themselves and the rest of the team healthy. Because that's one of your biggest thoughts, right? Is that, not only if I don't take care of business will I get myself sick, but I'll hurt my other teammates, and my teammates have families and kids, and so it puts an extra onus and an extra emphasis on it for yourself to say I got to take care of myself, but I also have to take care of my teammate and his family. So it's worked for us, and I think that's what we'll continue to do, and that's what we're hoping that we can maintain so we can have a good football.
Chris Emma.
Akeem, how you doing?
Great, good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, you too, man. How would you describe the difference in second year with Chuck Pagano's defense as opposed to where you guys were a year ago?
I would say this: everybody's a little bit more comfortable. We have, some things that we've been familiar with over the past year. So anytime you get that continuity from your DC, guys just feel more comfortable. So I think that going into this season, we're going to be just a little bit more sharper on some of the things that we've tried to install and do over here for the past couple of years.
Hub.
Akeem, good to see you, man. Listen, we know coaches hate distractions, and I'm assuming players would rather not have them as well. And obviously, COVID hasn't been the only distraction. How do you feel, or how have you gone about handling those distractions as an individual? And have there been times when you've had to help out other teammates in avoiding them as well?
Distractions. Which distractions are you referring to? Just in general distractions?
Yeah, whether it's the racial unrest or COVID or everything that's been going on outside the bubble.
Okay. As far as social justice and racial unrest, I think that is it's not something that you can really shy away from. It's something that's going to be on the forefront of your mind as long as we're dealing with it as a country. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be something that you go to sleep at night and you think about your family and if they're safe and in the different cities around the country where there's riots and people protesting and you want to make sure that everybody gets to come home safely at night, no matter who you are out there. And so those things are going to be on the forefront of your mind. It's something that we can't just put to the side. But I think there's a balance, right, in handling your business and making sure that you're taking care of the things that are important to you. And I think it's a different battle for everybody. Right? Because the beautiful thing about football is that we're all coming from, and I know you heard it a million times, we're all coming from different places, all different parts of the country and all different experiences. So it's, people are affected differently, but in this building and around here, we're pretty tight and pretty close. And so, we're easy to talk to for one another and lean on when we're having a stressful day. There's been times when guys have come into the building and had some tragic things or traumatic things happen in their life. And to know that you have a brother, a friend that you can speak to and unload on, there's a comfort in that. So for us in the building, we do a good job of that.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Akeem, I know you haven't played in a little bit, but is your anxiety to hit somebody else any greater heading into this season than previous ones? And also with regard to the with regard to preparation and the off season, do you feel as prepared as a defense or just as a team as you have in the past heading into week one?
I missed the second part of your question because you started talking about hitting early, right? And that's something that always gets me going. It hasn't been that long. You know, we've gotten to, get after it a bit in training camp and had some live periods and some physical periods. So, my thirst has been quenched in some ways. But when we get to the regular season and you get to unload on somebody that you don't have to see in the locker room, that's when the real pleasure comes, right? What was the second part of your question?
Do you feel like as a team as prepared for week one as you would in a more normal season?
You never know if you're prepared until you step on the field. In your mind, you're saying, I'm doing all the things right that I can in order to go out here and put on my best performance. But you're never sure until you execute. You're never sure until you finish that game with a W. You know what I mean? So I think that'll come once we get on the field versus Detroit. But as far as preparing as much as we can, we're definitely doing that.
Thank you.
JJ Stankovitz.
Hey, Keem, I wanted to ask you, did you see the statements that the Ravens and Texans put out last week and this week by any chance?
No, I missed them.
They just kind of laid out very specific demands of what actions they want to have taken. Is that something that, if you guys are able to come together on a number of actions that you would like to see the Bears put out as well?
I haven't had any, previous thought about creating a list of demands, so I couldn't say that that's something that we would be interested in doing. But one thing that is going on around here is a very open line of communication between us and our coaching staff and personnel. We've created an environment where everyone can, speak as freely as you can in any workplace, right? And I think that benefits us, and I think that we've had some really good conversations. Those type of conversations that, if you're talking to, for instance, we had a conversation in our defensive line room, right? And there's seven guys in there, and our coach. And I've been with Jay now for 4 or 5 years, but there's certain things that conversations that you just haven't had, right? And last week, I think we really sat down and just as a group and just broke down some of our feelings about not just football, but the world as a whole and shared our experiences. And not to say that it was like a big kumbaya moment, but there is a certain level of comfort in knowing that you have people that support you and support your beliefs and support, your life. So I can't say we have a list of demands, but I can say that we've had some open talks and looking forward to putting some things into action.
Just a few more here, guys. Dan Wiederer.
Akeem, in 10 days, when you come out of the locker room at Ford Field and walk down that tunnel, you're going to come out to a stadium full of empty seats. I'm curious what your curiosity is about playing in that environment and how guys will go about sort of manufacturing the juice that normally comes from that full arena.
I've been asked this question a few times, since this situation has been unfolding, not just by reporters, but family members and friends and, discussing whether or not there's going to be, a fan situation at the game. And we are going to miss our people. There are some faces in that crowd that I'm used to seeing, when I suit up and I get my lather going and I'm getting ready to play. There's some faces that I'm used to seeing that I'm going to miss, right? I bring my own juice, though. So when I get fired up and get going, I'm ready to play football. I think that there's a lot of guys on this team that feel the same way. And it's competition at the end of the day. So when we step out there, it'll be nice to have our people there and those faces that I'm used to seeing. But we got to take care of business regardless. So.
Last one, Pat Finley.
Keem, last time we saw you, there was a Bears video of you catching a punt and then kicking it and celebrating. Was that related to you getting hurt?
No, stop it. Get off the thing.
It was not?
Who's next? It was not.
It was not? Okay, just making sure.
It's okay.
I think that's it for the day. Appreciate your time. Media, thank you for your patience today. We'll have Bobby Massey next week, so that is the end for today. Again, thanks for your patience. And we'll have Bobby Massey next week. Thank you.